It's prime time today. Usually we wait till the team list to come out, but this week it's an Origin preview. We're going Origin heavy. I've got Nick beside me, Jaden off the bench. Boys, is it the best time of year, State of Origin footy?
Nothing better than Origin football. I don't care about anything else this week. Everything I'm doing, I'm planning my week around Origin. Where I'm going to watch the game, who's going to come watch it with me, who's going to be the good players, who's going to be the bad players. Latrell Mitchell out, big news. We'll get to it later.
Big news today.
But we'll touch on the boring week of footy that was before we touch on any.
There's always got to be one. Usually you hear some mind games played in the camp. Someone's got a bit of a headache, a migraine. Someone might pull out. Hearing the news this morning, Latrell Mitchell is going to be out was pretty big. I don't know. I'm not too thrilled about New South Wales' chances now with Latrell Mitchell out. But
I thought it was going to be another Payne Haas rolled ankle scenario where it's just a fake news injury.
It's all G
It
up.
was a massive loss. They
Anyway.
answered Hammer's prayers, I guess.
well, in saying that, if Latrell was going to be, questionable going into the game, are you confident Nicho Hines at 14 could have slotted into the centres there?
Yeah. He'd feel
As
in,
good as anyone else?
No, he'd feel in, but not as well as what another player would.
I would
like
say like
Matt Bird.
Exactly
would have been a better alternate option for a bench spot. That's where everyone's problem is with Nicho Hines off the bench, is he's the best halfback in the game at the moment.
He's proven himself as Dally M. Will he prove himself at Origin level? Everyone's keen to see it on Wednesday. Before we get started, Jay, we do this every week. Our fan question for the week. What's our fan question?
Fan questions come all the way from Dubai this week from Outlier Saleh. And it is, should every team have a bye during Origin round?
Yes, 100%. Treat it like an all-star break. I hate having to watch players not play. The best players aren't available, therefore the game shouldn't be played.
Yeah, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It is extremely broken.
It's not. Wednesdays is always prime time. They tried to do Sundays a few years ago, and it just wasn't the same.
You can still play it on Wednesday, just have a bye during the weekend.
I mean, the NRL doesn't seem to care. It's also, do you care about the integrity of the 2 points? Do teams actually want that 2 points when it matters? It's still a round game. It's still going to be contributing where you're going to finish, whether you're going to end up in the 8 or not. So I think it's important, but as a spectacle and as Origin, I don't want much to change.
Every sport in the world has an international break or an all-star break. NBA, all-star break. MLB, all-star break. NFL.
You've just named American sports.
Okay, English Premier League and all European soccer, they have an international break. The teams take time off. They don't play during the international break without their best players playing. It's stupid.
Yeah, but can they afford to? Don't they have like a lease on maybe the grand final to be played at a certain time?
It doesn't matter.
How far do you push it back?
If Messi's not playing for PSG or Barcelona during his prime, no one's going to go watch those games. They're less inclined to watch. Why would I want to watch Penrith?
So you want to have a week off for 3 weeks during the season?
Yes.
And play Origin back-to-back weeks.
Teams already get 2 buys. Why not?
But then that brings into question, what about the round straight after Origin? Because there's games on Friday night, which is 48 hours after Origin. Are you going to push your players to make that game?
They've got to become Friday. They've got to become Saturday night games then. Each Origin's played on a Saturday night. They'll still sell out.
You're changing it way too much. Sorry, people don't like change, Nick.
Changing it for the better.
I just think you take the 1 week off and Origin's over the weekend. And that's simple. Play an Origin on a Friday night and it's that round off. And then there's no other footy that weekend. Play the women's game on the Saturday or whatever
play like
else.
those other international games that they used to play, like Samoa versus Tonga. The people that can't play Origin, they get the game to play at that time as well. It's a much better solution.
Not to go off topic, but women's Origin is also on. Nick, who would you say your top 5 female Origin players are in this year's
I don't
female
want to kind of get into that now. I'll leave it for another video because I am prepping that.
We'll probably give it their own separate show.
I want to give them its own segment on top 5 most dangerous female players in the game right now.
No,
top 5 most explosive players.
Fair.
I think Elise Albert's up there.
Yeah, I think I heard, now you can't hold me to this, that they're probably struggling with the ticket sales there.
Yeah, it was
they
a
want
report.
to feel around maybe 30,000.
They've only sold about 5,000 tickets. Yeah, they're struggling.
That's my sources anyway. But who was your team of the week this week, Nick? It was a shortened round. A lot of teams had the bye. Who was your team of the week?
In a pretty boring week of football, I'm going with the Brisbane Broncos. Going to New Zealand and winning. That's gotten us this year. We've tipped against the Warriors in New Zealand.
Every time.
But Adam Reynolds and the crew, they got it done. Having all these Brisbane Origin players out, Carrigan, Reece Walsh, with them being out and being able to get the win, it's an easy team of the week for me.
I agree with you. Warriors really let me down. The Warriors fans, every time we go against the Warriors in New Zealand, they get up me. You don't trust the Wars. Give us our respect. I gave you the respect this week. I tipped you at home when Brisbane have all these players out for Origin. And you still couldn't get it done. Yes, you had some questionable calls. Do you think that ending was okay from the referee's standpoint?
I think it was okay. I just think it was so stupid on behalf of the player. Like,
I'm happy with
pulling,
I said, I'm happy with the ending strictly on how stupid the centre was. Whether the guy that he pulled had any impact on the final play, the fact that you pulled him, you're an idiot. It's a penalty. You guys don't deserve to win the game.
My team of the week is the Dolphins. Just doing a number on the Dragons. Dragons didn't really look like they had much of a sniff there.
There wasn't really much other teams to pick from.
There wasn't really much other teams to pick from the round in general. I mean, I liked a little bit of Newcastle here and there. It was nice to see Kalen Ponga, do his thing while he's off.
As well.
He avoided a HIA. I thought when he got clotheslined in the first 3 minutes in his first run, I thought he was coming straight off.
Well, the worst is the commentators now. He cops a bit of a knock and they're like, oh,
yeah.
Is he all right? Oh, is he going to be good?
Everyone starts shitting themselves and go, oh, we know his history. And they're all just like treating him like he's a fragile piece of glass, which I understand it's scary, but at the end of the day, he's playing footy.
And
he copped that shot where he barely had touched the ball.
The Manly guy got 10 in the bin.
And Kohler got 10 in the bin for it. I didn't even think there was much head contact there. He just got belted. And everyone just like, let's be on tippy toes around him.
Well, the fact that Billy Slater didn't select him because of the HIAs has
that's not
exacerbated it so much more. No,
That's
it
not
has.
confirmed.
It was said. I don't think it's not
a safe environment.
It's not a safe environment for him to play. We're thinking of his health. That's what they didn't say. They're not picking him on form.
So if he has another 2 weeks of good footy, does he go back into the Queensland team, or it just all depends on how Reece Walsh plays?
It depends if they win. If Queensland win, you pick the same team.
I think if Queensland don't win and Reece Walsh has an ordinary game, Ponga gets put straight back in.
But let's say hypothetical, Queensland win and Reece Walsh plays well. Doesn't even have to have an unbelievable game, but does his job as a Queensland fullback. Yeah. Do you ever even think about bringing Ponga in, or does Reece Walsh guarantee himself a spot for the rest of the series?
He guarantees himself.
For game 2 at a minimum, he guarantees a spot.
He's in control of his own destiny. If he plays well, they keep him. If he doesn't, they give him the boot. That simple.
Okay, who was your player of the round for this previous round?
Not many outstanding players, but you got to go with anyone that gets a hat-trick. That's Greg Marzhew. 3 tries against Manly. Some of them, Manly made Manly look so soft. I think there was that one where he actually got to his knees and still somehow scored.
Was it a second rower? It was on his feet and still couldn't get him down.
It was at Bullimore. I mean, Manly looked really soft. I know they had their star players out, but Greg Marzhew made himself look like a very powerful winger. Very Manu Vatuvei-esque. I really enjoyed his play.
Manly have zero direction without DC. They were just throwing the ball around. It looked like it was park footy.
And they still nearly won.
Marzhew is 10 tries in 9 games in his NRL career, so it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
It was good to see Dom Young, a battle of the Flyers as well. They both had runaway tries. Jason Saab intercept try.
Fastest guy in the NRL.
Dom Young, bloody speedster as well. I don't know if you saw Roger Fabri's Instagram story. Don't pay too close attention to those because they are quite disturbing. But he put up Jason Saab flying and said easily the fastest winger in the NRL.
He said he had like 2 more gears.
He said he's still got 2 gears in him, and then he said, and quite potentially the second fastest man in the NRL is Dom Young, and that he'd love to work with him.
Who would be your 3 fastest in the NRL right now? For me, it's Saab, Addo Carr, and then maybe Don Young. That's it.
I'd put Young ahead of Fox.
Yeah.
I think Fox is quick over 40, 50, but over the 100, I think Young
depends
Young
if he's
gets
coming
it.
off an injury as
well.
well.
The advantage that
the fastest player he played with was Dom Young.
The advantage Dom Young has is longer strides. And Saab as well. They got giraffe legs and they're taking 10 metres each stride.
Yeah, now, on the topic of wingers and keeping our origin theme intact, boys, let's say this is Fox's last origin. Because I see Brian Toto being a winger for New South Wales for at least the next 5 to 10 years, right? Say Fox is no good for origin anymore. He plays his last series. Who's the next winger in line to be a guarantee origin winger?
Campbell Graham. They'd probably move him to the wing.
Okay, say he's a centre. So you'd say possibly Campbell Graham?
Stephen Crichton would fill in.
As a winger?
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't be an actual winger. Maybe Daniel Tupu comes back into the team.
See, but his days are numbered as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So does a Jason Saab get a look in? As a last tackle option
I would like
as well.
to see him.
Does a Jacob Kairouz get a look in? We had a nice little time with him at Noir on the weekend. He was on a table somewhere. We said hello to him. He looked like he was enjoying himself. But do any of these wingers get a look in?
I don't think Kairouz does because he's Lebanese. I'm not saying that. But
absurd.
I think more so he's not in the level of wingers at the moment that he doesn't have that explosiveness that Addo Carr has.
I don't know if you recall, Nick, he was leading Dally M at the start of the season.
No, but when they're looking at origin teams, he
has a running meter. He's got a great offload on him as well.
I just think when you look at it, I'd probably prefer Saab because he has more explosiveness to him. If you're going to have a line break or put a kick in for someone
backing up, also a last tackle option.
Saab is so fast. There's sometimes where he's trailing to get the ball after someone's put a grubber in and he just beats them to it.
There was a period as well where Nick Kotrick was the winger.
Considered, yeah.
He was
Oh, yeah,
very much
Coppers
in
is gonna
the
get in there as
consideration. But I'd like to see Jason Saab get an Origin gig.
Down the line, I think he will. But anyway, who was your team of the player of the round?
My player of the round, I'm going to go with Adam Reynolds.
Yeah,
I
he
just
deserves
think
it.
consistent-
546 kick meters. I know you don't like that stat.
I don't
but
think kick meters is that relevant of a stat, but he just shows that he's one of the quality sevens in the comp. We just spoke off air about our top 5 sevens. This guy can consistently lead any team around the
Did
park.
we say him? We didn't say him.
We didn't even
No.
say Adam Reynolds. We didn't mention
Yeah.
him, and I think he definitely gets started. The fact that Souths let him go and he's still killing it at the top of his game at Brisbane. If he stays injury-free, Brisbane Broncos go deep into a finals run, I'd like to think. But in saying that, he's looking at extending his contract as well with the Brisbane Broncos.
Adam Reynolds is going to re-sign.
Yeah, he's going to re-sign with the Brisbane Broncos. This was after South said, we don't even want you for 2 years. He's played 2 seasons now at the Broncos, and they obviously half shortage in the NRL. Smart to re-sign him.
Yes, very smart. Where are their good halves? And where are their good halves coming from? There's no good halves coming through now. So if you do get a classy 7, a proper great 7 in the game, you got to keep him. That's why. Do Souths regret letting him go? I say yes. Yes, Ilias is a good player,
I think Ilias has been underrated this season.
but
too.
he's not at the level of what Adam Reynolds can do. And you saw when Adam Reynolds was there, they made the grand final. Since he's been gone, yes, they look good this year, but that's more on the back of Latrell than it is Ilias.
I'd love to see the Brisbane Broncos winning percentage as well with games that Adam Reynolds has played.
I think they've actually won a lot without him.
Really?
I think that's they've played 5 games with him.
And they found him a good partner in Ezra Mam. You know, they were
Explosive 6. Yeah.
exactly. That's probably got a more dominant running game. So for a couple of years there, they couldn't really land on a halves pairing. They had Brody Croft flying through. Tyson Gambu called his coach pretty shit as well and said Adam Reynolds runs everything. It's nice to see they're getting into a good rhythm.
I think it's if they don't re-sign him, Bulldogs maybe knock on the door.
Yeah, they're going after anyone and everyone that can play 7.
Would you
getting
want
Reynolds.
Reynolds at a Bulldogs training session, knowing the injuries? that
Knowing
they-
how many injuries happens at Bulldogs training sessions? No, I wouldn't. No. He'd get injured in the preseason and would never come back. But talking about injuries, one of the biggest things to come out of today's news cycle, Latrell Mitchell is out for Origin 1. News broke this morning, and it looks like he's going to be replaced by Stephen Crichton, who replaced the 18th man, Campbell Graham. If you're Campbell Graham right now, I'd be pretty depressed.
He's probably kicking himself. Not only, I understand.
But what if he legitimately had a sternum injury?
It doesn't matter. He would have played through it. If you get the chance to play Origin, and they say if you're making your debut at Origin, he'd play with a broken leg. He doesn't care. The fact that now he's given up the 18th man, no one wants to be 18th man. It's a bit disrespectful.
But earlier in the week, Brad Fittler said Stephen Crichton had impressed at training. He was a buzz around camp. He was filling in with his role. So I feel like Stephen Crichton maybe had an inkling that he may get a chance. He was buzzing. You saw all over social media too. That's what surprised so many people. It was like Latrell was posting up videos of him, Fox dancing, him and Tommy Turbo in a golf cart. They're blaring music off a JBL speaker. And all of a sudden, his calf injury can't hold up for this weekend.
They did report that he did walk off and finish training early. So he didn't really finish the session, but no one really made anything of it.
But they've officially ruled him out now. How big of a loss for this is New South Wales? I had him as player of the series before Game 1 was played.
Yeah, I think it's a massive loss. He's their X factor. With questions over Turbo's health, they were going to look to Latrell to break the game open, especially with having Valentine Holmes or Habasai.
It was going to be the hammer. I think the hammer, Hamasai Tabuai-Fidow, was shitting himself every day for the last week knowing that he had to go up against Latrell
It was going to
Mitchell.
be a GI on Nathan Merritt.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
He wouldn't be sleeping. All he would be thinking about is, I'm on the world stage. There's going to be 5 million people watching. I've got to match up against Trell Mitt. He is breathing a sigh of relief. He's got to match up against Stephen Crichton, who's no slouch. But I don't know. I thought this would have been New South Wales 2-1 series. Now I don't even know who's going to win Game 1. I still think it's going to be fairly close without Trell. Probably a New South Wales 1-12 Game 1.
I am devastated by the news, though. I was really looking forward to seeing him play. Him not playing last year was probably the sole reason that they lost. So him not playing this year, again, for Game 1 at the minimum, it's disgusting.
Mind you, we still have Turbo in there.
Yeah. What goes to show, and look, I'm not taking a big hit at Fittler, but I don't rate him as a coach.
No, I don't
From
either.
a selection standpoint?
Yeah, look, from that selection standpoint, and we touched on it last week, if one of the centers got injured, what would you do in a game? He's lucky that Troll got injured at training instead of 5 minutes into the game. Because what are you going to
Exactly
do?
right.
What are you going to do
So
5
say
minutes into the game if Troll goes down? Who's
Latrell
going to
Mitchell
center?
carries a niggling calf injury
Yeah.
into the game, goes down in the game. Where are you going to put Nico Hines in at centre?
Cam Murray can cover.
Yeah, but do you
Why
want Cam
would you
Murray
want him there? Yeah, I know. You could have had Matt
You have
Burton or
Matt
Jack
Burton
Wyden.
at 14, or Jack Wyden's gone, but Burton 14.
Well, really,
and
but
Hines at 6.
if they had chosen Api Coruscant and Cook as 14, then they'd be in the same position anyways. So that's you go in with
I'm
that
saying
mindset.
as that utility player,
Why
if
would
you're
you
going
pick
to
Hines?
pick,
I know they did pick Hines. They should have picked Burton.
I've heard as well that Nico Hines has been rolling around at dummy half throughout the week. He's prepared to jump on at hooker. So let's think about that for a second, right? You got a Dalian halfback ready to go in at hooker. I've never seen Nico Hines play hooker. Have you?
And when
did
we-
he ever
we played
play
with
it?
him.
Yeah, we played. Did you ever see him play hooker at Melbourne?
I think he may have filled in a couple times.
You
Maybe
know,
like come off the bench.
And yeah, you back his ability because he's a world-class player, but I don't understand the selection.
what-
And that's going to be, if New South Wales lose, obviously a big factor is Troll missing game 1. He'll be right for game 2, let's hope. And then also the selection, and that's what cost them last season. Brandy's been on record and saying, we made a lot of mistakes with our game 1 selection last year. Could they be repeating themselves?
They did go safer this year with selections, and they're smart. But what's more alarming, what are New South Wales doing at training? Payne Haas rolls his ankle. Latrell Mitchell, calf injury. There's been reports that, Nathan Cleary's not at 100% health.
Apparently he's got a bit of a toothache or a tooth injury.
What's going on? It's a very simple thing. You've got the best players. You don't have to really do contact. I saw them boxing. Let the boys relax. Maybe just build some camaraderie and let them just get to the game. What are you doing at training? I know Cameron Serraldo was at training.
Yeah, he was there at Coogee.
And the Bulldogs have had a history of having injuries at training, so maybe he did too much at the training
Maybe
session.
it's just a curse. Maybe it's just a curse. I understand. At the end of the day, they're probably getting their combinations right. They're probably doing a lot in attack. I wouldn't think you need to do a lot of defense. If you guys are the best first graders in the game right now, let's go in the wrestle room, boys, and let's see what Origin's all about. Or do you just leave it for the field?
Leave it for the field.
Like Payne Haas, heavy ice on his ankle. We saw him lying down and footage of him at training. I don't know. It could be mind games. I'm sure there's been a lot happening at Queensland camp. We're just not hearing much
I was
about
going
it.
to say, is it a New South Wales bias that I just don't hear about the Queensland team's, announcements or team news? I just don't care about it. Is that what it is?
Maybe. I have no idea. I saw Jai Arrow haircut. He cut a cue like the old Carl Webb
Oh, he did that?
into the side of his thing. They're ready to go. Everyone's sleeping on Queensland right now, and we kind of matched up their team 1 through 17, and I think it's fairly even with Latrell out. We'll go through that. But Nathan Cleary also came out. I know today there was reports that he's got a possible tooth infection. Maybe just get him ASAP to go see a dentist, sort that out, put numbing cream, whatever.
I've got a dentist, Matt Salemi. If you want to go see him,
Shout
he'll do
out
you
to
a good
cousin
job.
Matt. But do you get, is it mind games at this point? Because he came out this week and said he wants to do a number on Queensland. And then DCE came out this week and said that he wants to reclaim his Australian number 7 jersey, the Kairouz 7 jersey. It's going to be a battle of the sevens.
It's good to see the war of words between the halfbacks. DCE coming out and saying he's a bit dirty. He didn't get to start over Nathan Cleary for the Kangaroos. He wants his jersey back. I love hearing that. And Nathan Cleary, people did come out last year and say he had a pretty poor series. Wasn't the leading halfback. He wasn't playing as good for New South Wales as he was for Penrith.
This should always be a trial of who's the Kairouz 7. I feel like whichever 7 gets the job done, gets automatic 7 for the Kangaroos.
So Trent Hodgkinson beat Cooper Cronk. That means he should have been.
No, it's just who performs better.
Who
the
performs
chin-
better?
the chin
Who
of the neck,
performs
yeah.
better? Like exactly
Actually,
right.
Cooper Cronk was out that series. I shouldn't even say that.
Okay, but in saying that, who has a better series this series?
You go with DCE. He's their captain. He lives for this. Manly aren't as good as Penrith. This is his time to shine.
I feel like Nathan Cleary as well is only going to shine. He only ever shines in Origin when his team is firing. When he's playing off the back of their forwards going forward, and he's got Turbo outside him. Latrell making it easy
in saying
for him.
in saying that though, we did the head-to-head matchup last week. Nathan Cleary coming out saying he wants to dominate. It means that he was stirred about his performance last year. I would expect him to have a big performance.
I think Troll being out would, like, if Troll and Cleary were both out, I think Troll's a bigger
Loss
hit.
than Cleary.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
to
can
the
see
Origin
that.
team.
Well, if Cleary goes down, who's the
throw Hines at
replacement
7.
Hines.
Nico
Yeah.
Hines. Yeah, that's an easy one.
Whereas Troll, you throw Critter in or Campbell Graham. I know they're still good players.
It's a big
but
fall off from Latrell,
Yeah.
who's English level god like centre.
Well, State of Origin is this Wednesday. Let's go through the team list 1 through 17, and let's compare the teams on paper.
New South Wales versus Queensland. Who's got the advantage?
All right, well, you're starting at fullback, James Tedesco versus Reece Walsh. Again, this is in the lens of looking at State of Origin. Right?
Reece Walsh on form, club form.
Yeah.
But Origin, you're taking James Tedesco. He's the Kangaroos fullback.
Been there, done that.
He's been New South Wales' best player the last 3-4 years. You take Tedesco easily.
I would agree with you. That's easy, Teddy.
Next is Cobbo versus Toto.
Selwyn Cobbo versus Brian Toto.
Look, Selwyn Cobbo, better last tackle option. Who's got a better carry?
Toto.
Who's performed better at Origin level? Brian Toto.
Well, the jury's still out on Cobbo because he got knocked out
he
last
got
year.
knocked out in the first 3 minutes.
We'll take Brian Toto on being a better winger and being a more experienced
Okay,
winger.
so we're edging towards New South Wales there again.
Tuolungi versus Fox.
Again, Josh Adokar. Look who performed on the world stage for the World Cup. Josh Adokar was our best back.
Look,
he was our best outside back. Showed why he should have been picked last Origin series. And that's not to say that, Queensland don't have great outside backs. They do. But Josh Adokar, speed is just a step above.
I think Adokar is a much better winger than Tuolungi. I was surprised Tuolungi got picked, so I'm going Fox here.
Yeah, Fox.
Next, you've got Holmes versus Critter now.
Valentine Holmes versus Critter.
Val Holmes.
This one I'll edge to Queensland as well. I like Stephen Crichton. He's going to be a great addition to the Bulldogs. But Val Holmes is a quality centre. Yeah. He got treated like a child against Stafford Toa last week.
Bring Toa in.
Yeah,
over Critter.
I was thinking about that, but...
Maybe Freddie should have called him in. He's seen he's done a job on him before.
Well, he called the other guy as 19th man, know where that came from.
Utamukano, yeah.
But if you look on past Origin performances, Val Holmes did have a blinder last series as well, so I'm going with Val Holmes.
Next, we've got Hammer against Turbo.
Turbo. Healthy Turbo, it's Turbo.
Yeah, Turbo every day
all
of the week.
round. Munster Luai.
Again, Cam Munster. Jerome Luai has found a good purple patch of form for Penrith.
I don't think Jerome Luai gets enough credit because of his antics. Yes, he can be a bit of a grub and a niggler. The guy can play footy, but when you're comparing him to Munster on the Origin stage, Cam Munster.
Cam Munster is the standard, so it's Cameron Munster.
It's like he's got spiders on him in Origin.
Yeah.
Munster.
You can't touch him.
DCE against Cleary.
We've spoken about this all week. Origin level, it's DCE. Club form, you could give it to whoever
I
you
think
want.
Origin, you give the edge to DCE.
Flegler, Tavita Pangai.
Both making their debut?
No, Flegler's played there
played
before.
last year.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, he has.
Okay, even then I'm taking Pangai Jr. I've got to die on the sword of Pangai Jr., so I'm going Pangai Jr.
I love Tavita Pangai Jr. I think he's going to be a surprise pick, and a lot of people are going to be getting around him after this Origin series. But again, who's played at the level before? Who's been the more consistent player? I love Tavita. He's been over our house for a barbecue. I'm going to go with Flegler here, and he won't like that.
I'm taking Pangai Jr., so it's two against one.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Ben Hunt, proven Origin player against Appy.
Ben Hunt or Appy Coruscant. I got flamed midweek on TikTok for saying Appy Coruscant, and I've had to think about it a little bit as well. We based everything we said in that video off Origin form, and off Origin form, Ben Hunt, I would say, is the better dummy half.
I
here.
really like Happy Coruscant,
Yeah.
but Ben Hunt is playing hooker over Harry Grant. That just shows you how good of a hooker he is. So Ben Hunt.
Again, yeah.
Collins against Haas.
Yeah, Lindsay Collins does not measure up to Payne Haas.
Too many errors in his game, and Payne Haas is the best forward in the comp, hands down. So
It's
Payne
another
Haas.
one that Payne Haas is the best. You take him.
Dave Fafita against Frizzell.
Fafita, when he's on, you take Fafita.
I think he's more of a game breaker, could create more than Frizzell. Frizzell is a workhorse.
Who's more reliable? You'd probably take Frizzell, who's going to give you more consistent output. But for one game, I'll take Fafita.
I'd take Fafita as well.
Tom Gilbert against Hudson Young. Do you think they just cancel each other out?
Yeah, cancel. We'll
do
call it
the-
a draw.
Their players are fairly even. Both quality second rowers, both doing well at their respective clubs. Gilbert for the Dolphins, Hudson Young at Canberra. I think they cancel each other out.
Young versus Gilbert's a draw.
And then you've got Carrigan against Isaiah Yao.
We said this one again. You got flamed for maybe saying that Carrigan was better than Yo, but Carrigan's a player of the series.
I like Isaiah Yeo. I do. I think he's a monster. He's got a great carry on him. Plays like a big seven as well for Penrith. But at the end of the day, like we said in the video, Carrigan has won a Wally Lewis Medal Award.
He's a future Queensland captain.
And at Origin level, he performs and has a bigger impact on his team than Isaiah Yeo does. So I'm going with Carrigan. And we're not Queenslanders.
I don't know, are you?
No, we're not. I just going this for the video.
Going against what you guys have just said, New South Wales 6, Queensland 6, in terms of who's got the better players.
geez.
That's
Comes
fairly
down to
even
the
right
very,
now.
very even.
6-all at the moment.
And then with the draw, and then for the bench, we'll just consolidate those. So you've got Queensland bench, Harry Grant, Tino, Ruben Cotter, Jai Arrow, against Nico Hines, Paolo, Cam Murray, and Liam Martin.
Well, if you look at the 14s, right, I think Harry Grant is a far better 14 at this point than Nico Hines is. I think he can plug into that team better. They're going with the two hookers. It's always worked for Queensland.
Only because we haven't seen Hines play as a utility for Origin, you got to give the nod to Harry Grant.
But when
there.
you look at the rest of the bench, I feel like having
Tino against Junior Paolo.
Yeah, Junior Paulo provides a lot of impact. Murray provides a lot of impact as well. I think the edge to the forwards off the bench goes to New South Wales.
Yeah, no. Harry Grant's probably the only part where the Queensland bench is better. Junior Paulo and Cam Murray makes you the best Origin bench, hands down. So
agreed.
I think you give the edge here to New South Wales.
I feel
on
as
the
if
bench.
Freddie before the game will throw Murray in for Hudson Young or something.
Nah, I think they're
into
going
the back row.
to. Hudson Young came out on Fox Sports, I think on Matty John show, and said, "I'm starting. I've practiced starting. I'm starting."
I do like Jai Arrow off the bench as well, though. I think he's going to provide impact. He's no slouch, but I just think by a small margin, and like as we just went through the list, the team list, New South Wales by a small fraction, and that's why it's going to be a 1-12 game. But in saying that, if Latrell plays,
It was game over.
it's game over.
But I'm saying, bar Cameron Munster for Queensland, they don't have a player of Tedesco or Payne Haas that's that much better than their opposing
It used to be
number.
Kalen Ponga. You could say Kalen Ponga could create anything from.
But I'm saying-
based on the series last year,
Yeah, definitely.
you put Ponga up against Teddy and go, well, look, based on last year's game 3, I would maybe give the edge to Ponga, but he's not there.
Who are you taking out of Slater or Fittler?
Slater.
Yeah,
I said
Billy
this earlier
Slater.
in the week, Billy Slater. Fittler, over the last 3 years, been very poor on selection. And I don't. What do you really have to do as a coach there that he hasn't done?
I mean, just looking at it, Billy Slater with a worse team last year, he won Origin. So just based on that, you've got to give the edge to Billy Slater. People have come out and said Billy Slater's one of the best coaches in the NRL. He's touted to be one of the next great coaches, probably replaces Bellamy. I don't see anyone talking about Fittler replacing anyone.
Well, that's our Origin preview lineups. We compared the 17 v 17. We gave the edge to New South Wales. But keeping the Origin theme going, let's go into our top 5. We do our top 5 each and every week on prime time. You can check out our top 5s as well at Jon-Bernard K on TikTok and at Picklebet on Instagram, Pickle Studios on TikTok as well. This week's top 5 is top 5 Origin fights. Top 5 best Origin fights of all time. Nick, number 5?
Paul Gallen versus Nate Miles. When I was a child, this was the thing that got me through Origin. Every year you look forward to a fight, and this was the fight where Paul Gallen got up after giving Nate Miles a little stiff arm, and then decided treating his head like a boxing bag. 1, 2, you see there, the stiff arm from Gallen. Nate Miles wasn't happy with it. He gives him a bit of a shove after, and then Gallen,
And then it
boom,
was on. 1, 2. That was big.
Get in it.
This was the turning point, I think, in Origin fights. After this 1-2 from Gallen, they really came hard down on the punching
cracked down
in
hard.
rugby league in general. Because nowadays, if Nate Miles cops a 1-2 like that, and he wasn't really prepared for it, bang, clean on the jaw, does he come off for a HIA there?
Yeah.
Like nowadays, that happened today.
You get a light little tap on the chin, they bring you off for a HIA. Nate Miles just copped 2 flat punches to the
Independent
head.
doctor just looks at that and goes, yeah, he's copped one straight on the jaw. It's not hard to miss Nate Miles' head there. He's got to come off for a HIA.
Have you seen the size of Miles' head though? Like every run or every tackle, he's probably copying a head
He
knock.
used to lead with the head sometimes in tackles as well.
But the best thing about this punch, everyone hated Paul Gallen. But when he played for New South Wales
loved
and
him.
he punched Queenslanders like that, it made you love him.
And then the G-Train used that
That
and
set him
started
up
a
for his
whole
boxing
boxing career after that as well,
It
which
showed his
earned him
talents early.
millions, probably earned more than he did in his NRL career. Number 4, we're going with Ben Cray shitting himself. Now, if you look at this one, Queensland, end of the game is unwinnable from here. They put a bomb up, right, to belt Kurt Gidley. They just had enough. Ben Craig comes in with a shove to Justin Hodges, backpedals, shits himself, doesn't want anything to do with the fight, and everyone starts jumping in. The forwards come in and save his life. But for a second rower, bit of a pussy move for Ben Cray.
This is the biggest bitch move in Origin history. Ben Cray, you're on a second rower at a centre. You push him and backpedal like you just shit yourself. It was one of the most embarrassing things ever. Look at him push him and just...
Don't come after me, Justin. Justin also had a boxing
Look,
debut.
Ben-
Hodges starts laughing.
I mean, look, Justin Hodges is a scary player, but Ben Cray, you're a bitch.
He could throw him, Justin Hodges. I wouldn't say that to Ben Cray's face. Number 3, we got Brent White knocking out Steve Price. When it comes to brutal Origin knockouts, this was tough to watch.
I mean, it's nothing better than seeing someone get knocked out. I do feel sorry for him, but look, I mean, it was a fair standoff.
Yeah, they were throwing him, and then he just cleans him up. 1, 2, bang, and goes down to the floor.
And then he's snoring.
Yeah, he was
Look at him, he's
asleep.
asleep.
He's knocked out.
He almost got stampeded by some of his players as well. He was out cold.
And you see older legends of the game talking about how it was back in the old days. This is still pretty recent.
Yeah.
This is what, 2009? I mean, for someone like Steve
In
Price
a
to
game
get knocked
3
out,
as well, mind you. Game 3.
if it happened today, Brett White would be in jail. There'd be assault charges, there'd be something, because getting knocked out like that is pretty heavy.
Well, if that happens on the streets of King's Cross, someone does a day at Surrey Hills Penitentiary.
No, that's
You know,
that
in
wasn't
the
it wasn't a coward
It
punch.
wasn't a coward punch, but
that
that happens outside a nightclub. Someone's getting arrested. Happens on an Origin field. We want to see more of it.
Can I ask you though? I said Ben Cray was embarrassing. Steve Price just got knocked out in front of at least 3 to 5 million people on national television.
Yeah,
Nah,
but to be fair, he was going toe to toe. He was swinging.
And in 2009, mate, no HIA, probably got up, shook it off, and kept playing.
Said, "Can I get back out there?"
Anyway, that takes us to number 2, Wally Lewis in 1988. He gets belted here. One of the most controversial bashings of all time. You see him get absolutely tortured by the New South Wales team. He ends up getting 10 in the bin for this. And the Queensland fans are not happy. They start throwing beer cans onto the field.
Well, he did start it.
I mean, it's one of the most old school scraps in Origin history. You see this all the time when they're playing, the best fights of Origin of all time. But the fact that he got sin bin for getting belted, you could see him blow up about it as well.
It's one of the worst Origin calls of all time, but it lives forever in the highlight reel. The Queensland crowd was filthy, but this is what makes Origin Origin. This is why Queenslanders hate New South Wales, and it was on for all money between everyone in the team.
And you see, Wally Lewis, he's the king of Queensland. Watch him walk back to the locker room and the Queensland fans throw beer onto the field. Like, this is awesome. I know people aren't the fans of when, the crowd gets into it like that, but I love when crowd throws shit on the field. It's just fun.
Mean, not when it's aimed at a referee or a player, but just...
No, it's even better.
No, I think you got it wrong there. But number 1 is the 1995 Origin Brawl, Mark Geyer. This is like everyone remembers this. This is the Origin fight of fights.
Well, look,
you got
you see-
Hopper Waddy swinging in there. Look, they're just trading them. Everyone's trading them.
The 1995 MCG brawl. They start from the scrum, and it's 13 on 13. You see those Russian UFC fights where it's just a pack against a pack. This was that. That's right at the start of the game as well. They knew going into the game, let's get it out early, let's knock each other out, and then we'll play the game.
If someone gets knocked out, we'll just jump
Oh my
onto the next
God.
person.
And
It becomes
you
a
think,
2v1.
what are they fighting about? They're fighting about it's tribalism. Where you're from, this is what I'm fighting for.
Some of them are teammates.
There's nothing better than this. This is the epitome of state of origin.
So that was honourable mention, Mark Geyer there. This is just all-out MCG brawl, and is probably the best of all time. Look at they end up venturing off the field and just start throwing them off the field. It took him about 10, 15 minutes for them to stop.
Now, this is I only watch Origin because this was the potential of what could happen. The fact that that's kind of gone from the game now, it's a bit sad.
If that happened this weekend, do you think they have to stop the game for 15 minutes with the HIAs?
No.
With all the hits to the head?
There'd be no HIAs, but geez, it'd be all over the front page. It'd be everywhere on news. Is this a great look? But at the end of the day, it's the biff, and people love it.
Bring back the biff.
Who wins in a 2023 brawl?
2023, 17 on 17, with
going.
Payne Haas and Tavita Pangai Jr. in one team. I'm leaning towards
I've
New
seen
South
Pangai
Wales.
Jr. do some boxing in the off-season, so you give the edge to New South Wales.
Well, that's our top 5 best Origin fights of all time. Check out our top 5s on Picklebet's Instagram, as well as JBK Show on YouTube and at Jon-Bernard K on TikTok and Instagram. But looking over to the AFL, we've delved into Origin deep this week. What's your highlight of the AFL this week?
Well, going back to the previous round of the AFL, lots of upsets. If you had a bet last week on the AFL and you made money, you know nothing about the AFL. Melbourne Demons lost, Geelong lost, Port Adelaide upset Richmond. There was just so many games where you're like, okay, I know nothing about AFL. But looking ahead to something that we do know a lot about. Collingwood. The flag pies are running wild, baby. That's another win. Another convincing win. I said that they were going to win by 30 plus against North Melbourne, and they did. I said Nick Dacos 30 plus disposals. He got 32. Just give the kid the Brownlow now. What are you waiting for?
If they do a Brownlow market, because I know in the NRL you're not allowed to bet on the Brownlow anymore, right? Is he the leading favourite right now?
I wouldn't be surprised if gambling agencies pay out early on Nick Dacos for Brownlow medal. But looking ahead to round 12 of the AFL, Collingwood versus the West Coast Eagles. Collingwood wants revenge for the 2018 Grand Final. As fans, we have not forgotten the choke job that Collingwood did, and they're going to make up for it this week. They're travelling to Perth. Always hard to win in Perth. But West Coast are disappointing. They're a shit team. No one likes the West Coast Eagles in the AFL. They're the odd one out. No one likes the West Coast Eagles. So Collingwood, with revenge on their mind, take them 30 plus with Nick Dacos 30 plus disposal again. If you want to earn easy money, that's just the way to do it.
Hey, Nick Dacos, $3 for Brownlow. Followed by Bontempelli, 5.
Put your house on it.
He's the favourite for the Brownlow right now, $3. That's fair. If he stays injury free and keeps this level of disposals
I think it's one suspension means that you're not eligible for it as well.
He's
though.
not getting suspended.
So
The guy's,
if
the
he
guy's
was
too
to
good.
get-
He's too good to do that. And if you look at Collingwood, premiership favourites at the moment, as they should be, and Nick Dacos, front runner for the Brownlow, it's just great being a Collingwood fan right now.
I read
love
somewhere
life.
because of his young age that he can't earn as much as
Well, he's
a star player.
he's still somewhat very new to the
He's-
AFL.
I know
so-
he's pretty much almost, you'd say, a rookie, but at the end of the day, when does he get the big bucks? Is it after a season like
Yeah,
this?
it'll come soon, and he's earned every cent that he probably earns after this.
Well, after Origin, we stupidly have to play more footy. The players don't get a break. Some players do have to back up. Let's go through our tips and picks for this week.
Well, the thing is, usually we do this after team lists, but even with team lists coming out on a Tuesday, they don't mean shit because most of the team's going to be chopped and changed because Origin players might play or they might not play.
Do you think Origin players should back up?
Yes, they should.
Post Origin, mate. I can't train legs within the same week. How is an Origin player going to
Not to
play
take-
one game of absolutely belting each other and then try and back up maybe on a Friday or Saturday night?
Not to take a shit on you, you're not an elite athlete.
That's very true.
What they've done is they've put Tigers against Raiders on Friday night, so they know that there's going to be
Zero players.
zero Origin
I mean,
players.
Coruscant and Hudson Young will probably back up, but
Nah, I doubt it. Not 48.
Not
less
in the
than
middle.
48
Not
hours.
if you're a middle player.
Tigers versus Raiders at
Oh, we'll
Campbelltown
start-
is a tough bet.
Start off. So for your picks for the week, Queensland, New South Wales. Who are you taking?
New South Wales 1 to 12.
I mean, I don't tip Queensland. I'm a true New South Welshman. I mean, unless I bet on Queensland, maybe I'll go for them, but I'm betting on New South Wales, so I'll go for New South
I'm going to
Wales.
go New South Wales 1 to 12, and with Latrell out, I'm going to go Tom Trebojevic to be player of the game.
I mean, my best bet of the week is New South Wales head-to-head with Tommy Turbo, anytime try scorer, all up multi, $3.50. Great value.
I like Fox anytime try scorer into New South Wales 1 to 12.
What's that paying?
$5.
No, good
I like
value.
Fox. Fox anytime is a good bet, actually.
And if you guys do bet, make sure you head over to the Picklebet app.
Yeah,
and
that's
put
very
those bets
true.
on.
Now, who we got? The Warriors v the Dolphins.
First game is Tigers Raiders. So who are you taking at Campbelltown?
I've gone the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders as well. They performed pretty well with their Origin players out this previous round. I think they'll back it up.
I just don't...
Bit of scary scenes there that happened with Corey.
Yeah, I still think Big Red Machine, he played really well last week.
I
Corey
love the new
Horsburgh.
haircut as well.
And I just don't, I just will never tip the Tigers. I hate them.
And I think Horsburgh filling in there for Hudson Young at 12. If Hudson Young comes back into the side, he'll be a great addition into the pack there for them. He's also playing for an Origin spot. I think he's on Billy's radar as well, so I'll go Canberra.
Next game, you've got Warriors versus Dolphins in New Zealand. Battle of the surprise teams of the year, I guess.
Mate, I can't go against the Warriors again.
They're not losing 2 weeks in a row
Nah.
in New Zealand.
I'm going to go Warriors again.
And Dolphins aren't as good as the Broncos, so I'll take Dolphins. I'll take the Warriors. I think Dad will take the Warriors as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Next, we've got Gold Coast versus Rabbits.
I've thought about this one. Rabbitohs again.
Latrell will be out though. That's a big out. If he's not playing
Campbell
Origin,
Graham should be back.
yeah, but if Latrell's not playing Origin, he's not going to play.
No, he's Troll's out for 1 to 3 weeks.
I'm gonna go slight edge to Souths. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Souths.
Yeah.
Just because I think Gold Coast leak way too many points. And I think I'll bring it up here.
Alex Johnston to score 3 tries.
Richie's gone Gold Coast Titans.
There you go.
And he did take the Dolphins
He's
as well.
fairly desperate right now with only 58 tips this year. He tries to catch up.
Next game, you've got Cronulla versus Brisbane in Cronulla,
If Nico Hines comes back into the team,
which he will because he's going to play 5 minutes in Origin.
that's what I'm expecting him to play at like that
Minimal
10-minute,
time.
like pretty much Stephen Crichton in last year's Origin where he came on as the 14. I'm going to give the slight edge to Cronulla here.
I think Cronulla are the better team, so you go Cronulla. And Richie's gone Cronulla as well.
Next, we've got Roosters versus Dogs.
Roosters need a win here.
Well, Sam Walker's reportedly going to be ruled out for a further 3 weeks, so they're not getting him
They're
back.
saying he's behind schedule with his injury. I think they need him. But if players like Manu and Hargraves are ready to go, and we'll find out tomorrow if they are, I think Roosters desperately need a win more than the Bulldogs do. But I guarantee it'll be a close game.
I'll take Roosters 1 to 12.
Yeah, Roosters
And
1 to 12.
Richie's gone Roosters as well.
Yeah, man, if Roosters don't win this week, they've got Penrith next week.
Yeah, they're losing.
Yeah,
So,
and-
you saw what happened when they were full strength a couple of weeks ago.
Why
are they versing Penrith so soon again?
They need to turn their season around ASAP too, because now it's like maybe they could scrape in the 4, but if they start to lose more and more games, it's like, are they even a top 8 team?
Yeah, they'll make the 8.
I see them making the 8, but they need to start, like with Brandon Smith now out for 8 weeks, it's like they need to start making moves because we're always halfway through
They'll
the
be
season.
right.
Yeah,
They'll win this week. don't
Roosters
worry.
versus Penrith twice in 4 games.
Whoever did the NRL draw this year should be sacked. There's been teams that have had multiple buys. The Roosters have played, I think, 4 games in the span of 16 days at the start of the season.
And they've had so many rematches.
There's already been so many rematches early on. So, yeah, whoever's done that needs to look at their jobs.
Cows versus Melbourne on Sunday, 4 o'clock.
Melbourne, the way the Cowboys have been playing lately.
I think Dad's gone for a Hail Mary. He's gone the Cowboys. I don't know
Tamalolo's
why.
tipped to be back.
Doesn't matter. Melbourne are the better team. Yes, it's in North Queensland, but I think Melbourne are starting to find form.
And I don't even think they bring Cam Munster back in, and I'd still go Melbourne.
Oh, he should back up.
Munster for Sunday.
I mean, it's a big trip from Adelaide to
Anything can
Townsville, isn't
happen. Anything can happen, really.
And then the last game, you've got first versus last, so Penrith versus Dragons.
This is an easy Panthers for me.
I mean, if the Dragons couldn't beat the Dolphins last week, they're not beating Panthers. So easy Penrith all round.
Again, that's Nicholas leading tips this year on 66. I trail behind him 63. Dad on 58. Loser of tips this season has to get a full body 40-year-old virgin wax.
You know
That'll
what?
be on content, on camera. I think I'm going to get you. And
Even
Origin is counting towards the tips.
Even though I want to win, I probably could use a wax. That's the only, cost benefit.
I need it as well. I haven't had laser much this year. Looking over to the NBA Finals, we announced on TikTok and Instagram that Picklebet will be sending us on tour. We'll be going to the NBA Finals. We're going to Wimbledon, the Ashes, and Royal Ascot. The NBA Finals is next week. Actually, we'll be there next Wednesday over in the US, probably Denver, and we'd like to see the Boston Celtics in there. But we'll be there from Game 3 onwards, covering it on the ground with fans. So this game is massive for us as well. Is it going to be Boston? Is it going to be the Miami Heat? It's Game 7 in Boston. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Boston. Last week, when they were down 3-0, I boldly came out and said, Boston are coming back. Yes, they were down 3-0, and Jimmy Butler was playing great basketball, but Boston are the better team. Derek White's game winner just sucked all the hope out of Miami Heat. Their fans are depleted. Their players, there's no way they could have confidence to go on the road to Boston and win Game 7. It's a rematch of Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And in that game, Jimmy Butler had a chance to win it, a game-winning 3. He missed. And he wants revenge for that, but I don't think he's going to get it.
I feel like that White shot was definitely along the same lines of Ray Allen hitting that game-winning shot. It was along the same lines of Kawhi hitting that 3.
Man, but
and it took 3 to 5 seconds for the ball to finally go in. It was the benches of the team. The Miami crowd was up. They had already
they'd
started
won.
celebrating the
when
game.
it rimmed out.
And it was just like, never give up on the play. That's kind of saved their finals seat, like it's for them to appear in the finals and their hopes for the finals. That was Miami's Game 7, and I think it's Boston's game to lose at home.
The thing is now as well, Derek White, if you actually look at the play, he released the ball with 0.2 seconds left on the clock. That might be the closest call ever. You realize when you're watching something live and you're like, okay, this is going to be a highlight forever. Every time they bring up best game winners of all time, that clip's coming up. A Game 6 on the road, your season's over if you miss this shot, and he puts it in for his team.
And the context of it as well, they've been down 3-0. So it's not to say, like, they still have a big task ahead of them. They've got to close out the series at home. Last time they played a game at home, or not the most recent game, but Game 3...
Game 2, Game 1 and 2.
They got absolutely bashed.
Yeah, no, they haven't been impressive against Miami. I know they've won 3 in a row, but
And
this is the
it's
game
just
now.
in terms of points. It's like Jason Tatum just goes missing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he does. He's a bit of a pussy.
Man,
in the
with
fourth
3
quarter.
seconds to go, White was able to inbound, and then he sprinted to the corner to like catch release 3 if it was on, and then he ran in, got the rebound, and then got the shot off. All in 3 seconds. Think about how quick 3 seconds goes.
For Game 7, who's got more pressure on, the Miami or Boston?
I think
Boston
do. It's at home. It's
Okay,
for the game
it's-
to win.
it's
But
a-
in saying that,
They'll be
if
the first team ever.
If Miami are the first team ever to drop a 3-0 lead, and mind you, Jimmy Butler has come out and said, I guarantee victory in this game. He guarantees victory. He's got a point to prove as well.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler came out for Games 4, 5, and 6 and said that as well.
He's trying to speak it into existence. But look, the pressure is on Boston. Because at the end of the day, they are the better team. They're the 1 seed.
2 seed.
Going up against the 8 seed, right? It's been theirs since the start.
Well, the thing is, though, do you want to be the one team in 150-1? Who's more pressure? It's got to be Miami. You look at Brock Lesnar breaking the Undertaker streak. He's the one.
Yeah.
You look at the person that breaks the streak. Trent Hodgkinson's going down in history as the guy that broke the streak for New South Wales.
There's been some teams to get it to 3-3, but have never closed it out.
This is the 4th time in history a team's been down 3-0 and come back. But in those first 3 times, the team that was up 3-0 was the better team and had a home game 7. So this is the first time a team's been down 3-0 and has a home game 7. It's written. The NBA scriptwriters know what they're doing, and they're coming back.
It's going to provide a lot more buzz for us, and we'll be hopefully best case scenario. Let's say it's Denver v Boston.
Look, twist my arm and go to Miami.
Who would you want to see in the finals? Would you rather a Denver Boston game? What's going to be more interesting? And in saying that, who wins the finals from here?
I think Boston would be more interesting because they can match up against Denver a bit better than what Miami could. And I'd still take maybe Denver in 7, strictly because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown go missing at times. And Jokic is much more consistent.
Who do you put, if you're Boston, who's defending Jokic?
Al Horford and Robert Williams.
Yeah, but they're struggling. I guess
Al Horford has struggled to match up against Bam Adebayo. How is he going to match up
That's
against
why I'll
Jokic,
take Denver in 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Denver as well. Especially, I think the Celtics would be gassed after
But
this series.
another thing as well. So both these teams have to play tomorrow and then play again on Friday, NBA Finals Game 1. That's a 3-day turnaround. Denver's had about a week and a half off. Which team would you rather be? Always before these games, whoever wins the game, it goes, oh, that's because they had extra rest. Or it would be they fell out of rhythm because they had too much rest.
I'd rather be the well-rested team.
Game 1 in this series where Celtics lost. Celtics came off a sweep, I believe, and Heat came off a 7-game series.
No, the
Wasn't
other
it?
way around.
Oh, was it the other way around?
Boston came off a Game 7, Heat won in 6. So pretty similar. But even then, it's just, do you give the team the nod that has more rest? Is it better to have more rest or have more rhythm?
At the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. I think Jamal Murray and Jokic as a pairing is just going to be too strong. And like I said, they've been giving up so many points, the Boston Celtics, allowing Miami to go on like 12-0 runs in the third, deep in the third or fourth. It just doesn't make sense. So I give the edge to Denver on whoever they come up against as well. It's their year, and Jokic deserves all the praise. But looking over to the Premier League, Nick,
Season's over.
and we've had a bit of a promotion.
So in the second league, Luton, where Andrew Tate is from. Luton. They've been promoted to the English Premier League. Now, each year they've been promoted, as what happens in the Premier League, relegated teams, the bottom 3, I think Leicester, Leeds and Southampton, they get kicked out of the Premier League, and Luton's get promoted. But if you take a look at the condition of their stadium, it's not up to Premier League standards.
Well, they look like a relegated facility.
Yeah, they look like they play park football on the weekend. I think I could go to maybe like Roos Park and it'd probably be the equivalent of what the stadium's
So you're
like.
saying it's a Leichhardt Oval-like facility?
Yeah, it's a suburban ground for a Premier League team, which is unheard of. So they've reported got to spend $10 million on upgrading their stadium.
Does the Premier League come in and help them and say like, okay?
I think you get money. You get money.
Yeah, it's like 300 million or something. It's a ridiculous amount of money for
they'll get a lot of money
and players.
Their players get a bump up in pay rise. It's a dream come true for them. But it's just, this is what the beauty of English Premier League is. A no-name club or a very little small-town club can make it big and go to the Premier League. That's where you look at other countries, even the US, Australia, they don't have that relegation system, which what makes sports so exciting for small towns. It makes you more proud of where your team's from.
Yeah, well, if you look at sports domestically, is there enough talent for the AFL to have a VFL team get elevated into the AFL comp? Is there enough talent in the NRL to be like, hey, let's bring up someone from New South Wales or Queensland Cup. Let's bring a WA team in. There's just not enough talent here.
It is wishful thinking.
In Europe and in the UK, they've got 30-something divisions across how many, and kids are playing. Look at just junior levels in football in Australia. It just outpaces every other sport. So you can have relegation there.
Is it a coincidence, though, that this team has been promoted being the town where Andrew Tate's from? There's no coincidence there
I'd
at all?
like for Andrew Tate to come out and endorse the team. And
Maybe
say
become
he's
a
getting
part-time
behind
owner.
them. But start investing in him. He is from Dubai. Let's see some Arab money get flown into Luton.
Well, I think they'll be the next team to do it. If they can maintain their spot in the Premier League, it's one of the biggest success stories ever.
How do teams that get elevated into the Premier League usually fare the following season? Are they usually around the bottom of the ladder?
Yeah, normally like bottom 6 or 7.
It's very hard to make that talent jump.
If they avoid relegation, it's a successful year for the next year.
Could they be the next 5,000 to 1 team to
Leicester
take
City.
it out?
Well, the fact that Leicester City's been relegated is pretty sad. They go from previous winners back down to the
One
Zero
of
straight to
the
zero.
quickest teams to go from winners to relegated.
Rise and fall.
Everton nearly got dropped down into it as well. They had a late winner to secure their.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's our Origin preview for this year. For this year's Game 1, it's going to be a big one. It's always one of the most watched games in Australia, domestically at least. So upwards of nearly 5 million people view it. So make sure you keep an eye out on our socials for our tips and picks. We're riding New South Wales home this Origin. It's going to be a cracker of a game this Wednesday. So keep an eye out for our multis as well. That'll be going across our socials at Picklebet over on Instagram and at Jon-Bernard K on TikTok. But till then, subscribe at the JBK Show on YouTube. And if we don't see you next week, take it easy. But we'll be live again Monday, 5 p.m. Till then,